Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming back my good friend, the very funny comedian Betsy Salkind, who you may remember I had on end of last spring, early summer, and I'm having her on. We're just going to chat for a little bit today. She's going to promote her upcoming next appearance at the Throckmorton in Mill Valley, and just catch up and talk about stuff, all things related to comedy, and it's going to be pretty good. Betsy is very funny, a lot of fun, and she posts some pretty interesting stuff on Facebook all the time. And so, yeah, here is my new interview with the very awesome Betsy Salkind.
Tommy.
Hey, Betsy. How the fuck are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. How was your Halloween and Thanksgiving?
Oh, they were good. And yours?
Let's see. Halloween, I got laid for the first time in 3 years.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, that is a happy Halloween.
Very happy Halloween. I'm a very good neighbor.
Uh-huh. So was your neighbor, eh?
Yeah. She came over. She wanted to give my mom a bouquet of flowers for being so awesome, and my mom was not around, and so she came in and we had a good time.
Oh, great. Were you in costume?
No. I decided, I haven't dressed up in like 3 years, and it's mainly because I just really haven't really gone out and done anything since I recovered from my accident, and plus, just costumes are just fucking expensive.
Yeah.
You know? And so I haven't really done it. I will eventually do it again, but I just didn't do it, though. But my Thanksgiving was really good, too. My mom cooked very good. My belly button went from an innie to an outie.
Your belly button was what?
It went from an innie to an outie.
That could be pregnancy.
Well, either way, it's good because, next time I get laid, I can use the outie, the butt fuck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are we recording now?
Yes, we are.
Oh, my God. Okay.
How was your birthday?
It was good. Yeah. I lived through it.
Lived through it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. Oh my God! So, are you just amazed at how successful Vicki Barbolak is getting?
I'm amazed and thrilled by it. I mean, she's so ready for that, and she's been under the radar for so long, and shouldn't have been. And so, I think it's just really, really nice to see that happening for her. She's such a good person as well as a great comic, and she's so ready to take advantage of her success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think sometimes people get that big break and they really don't have that much material or that much experience, and it's hard for them to really go on and have a full career then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, last time we talked, you brought her up to me, and her name sounded familiar, and then I remember back in the early 2000s, she was interviewed for the E! True Hollywood Story on the Comedy Store, and they were saying that she was the next breakout star. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
But they knew.
Yeah, they knew, but I mean, it's like 18 years later.
Right. Yeah, well, I think I can't remember who it was that said that, they became an overnight success after just 20 short years.
Yeah. And
I think that might have been Wendy Liebman.
Oh, yeah, Wendy Liebman. She surprised me because I always, when I was growing up, I was such a fan of hers. I considered her a star. She was a star in my book, But then she did America's Got Talent, and I was like, what's she doing on here? She's like a legend,
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It's so sad what just happened to her,
Oh, I know. What's amazing, though, is like she is so positive and so, like she's just not been. I mean, she's literally taken down. She can't really walk, but she's just so funny and so grateful for everything, and she's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I even told her, I said, you know, when I had my accident, they told my parents I would never walk again, and I can. You know.
There's hope for her.
Yeah, I mean, those fucking doctors, you know, they just, you know, they're overqualified to do what they do. But yeah, I had auditioned for America's Got Talent for the 3rd time earlier this year, and I was for damn sure that I was going to get it. I was like, this is going to be the summer of Kovac. Instead, it's the summer of Barbolak.
Right. Well, you got back.
But I'm so happy for her, though.
Yeah, me too.
I hope she gets a Netflix special.
I'm sure she'll get a special somewhere. You know, I'm sure it's probably in the works. I'm actually getting to work with her in February, maybe a Super Bowl weekend. We're going to be at the La Jolla Comedy Store together.
Nice. Yeah, what's your take on that, though? Like, Netflix is, like, giving away specials to almost everybody now.
Well, they haven't given me one. But, I mean, I think it's great that there's, you know, just more voices getting out there and more, just a much greater diversity and range of the comedy voices that we're hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And I sure loved Hannah Gadsby's special.
Mm-hmm. I saw Joey Diaz's special. I wish it had gone on longer. He was fucking great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Joey's hilarious.
Yeah. And I interviewed, do you know Kate Willett?
I certainly know of Kate.
Yeah, I interviewed her when she was plugging her special and stuff. And her special was pretty good.
I gotta spend a lot more time on that. That's clear.
Yeah, there's a lot of specials. Lots of them. Yeah, you know what's funny? I was thinking about it the other day. One thing I miss about specials, back in the day, HBO or Showtime, when they would give specials to people, there would always be like an opening, middle, or closing wraparound segment where like the comedian would be doing like sketches with like a backstage sketch or something with other comedians or like movie stars or something. They don't do that no more. It's all just straightforward stand-up, you know?
Yeah, well, it's kind of the Comedy Central model.
Yeah.
It's really cheap, and, you know, it's much easier to produce it. And, yeah, I guess they've kind of dispensed with the fanciness around that, except, you know, certain comics can still do that.
Well, when I do get a special, I'm going to push to have segments on mine because they don't call me Tommy Throwback Kovac for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to have the throwback.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed, like, there's a lot of comics who basically produce their own specials and then sell them or lease them to distribution, you know, whether it's Netflix or whoever. They've had their specials. I know Showtime has bought some specials that were produced by the comics themselves.
Yeah, like, who's that guy? Oh, God, he's, like, really popular now. He's been doing theaters. Kojoy.
I don't know that.
But
I know Wendy Liebman did her, you know, she did one of her specials herself.
Oh, she did?
And then it was picked up by, I think, Showtime.
Yeah, Elaine Boozler did that back in the 80s.
Yeah.
She got the contract with Showtime, and then the president said, "Oh no, we can't have a female comic because no female comic had done an hour special at that time," and she shot it.
It can't be done.
Yeah, she shot it, and then they said, "No, we're not going to air it." And then a year later, somebody took over Showtime and said, "We will air it," and that's how she did it.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
I'd be in trouble though with all my topical material.
Yeah. Yeah, Elaine turned me...
I have to say I have material that I thought was topical and should have been topical and unfortunately is still completely I have jokes about abortion rights that are, over 20 years old, and they should have been retired a long time ago, and now they're more relevant than ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you working on a one-person show at the moment?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I am. I didn't really think that it's a one-person show, but I guess it is. And it's a show about getting off of antidepressants.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a name
or
for
getting
it?
Off.
Do you have a name for it yet?
Yes, Getting Off.
Oh, Getting Off. Couple hours ago, I interviewed Tom Dreesen, and he was telling me just how different comedy was when he started, and he was telling me about the strike in '79.
Yep.
Stuff.
I was going to ask you about that. Tom's amazing. I tried to make a documentary about the comedian strike of '79, and spent a lot of time with Tom and some of the other comics who were part of that organizing. It's such an amazing part of our history.
Yeah, I'm surprised that another strike hasn't happened yet with, I'm surprised because when I went to LA 2 years ago and I tried to get stage time at these clubs, I saw, a lot of the same comics, and they were just pissing and moaning about how they couldn't get stage time and stuff. And I thought to myself, I smell another strike here, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened.
Well, there's been, there hasn't been a club strike. Although there was in New York, I can't remember when it was, but they organized, Ted Alexandro was one of the organizers, and they did successfully, I don't know if they actually went on strike or they just organized, but they got better pay in New York for the comics working the clubs. And then in the cable world, there were, I don't know if it was exactly a strike or just a work stoppage, but the way that comics got a union contract for BET was through organizing and withholding services from them. Basically, there were a lot of really big name comics who had done that network, sponsored and supported that strike. I guess it was a strike, except you can't really strike if you don't already have a deal, but they basically said, we're not going to work for that network, and if you do, you're never sleeping on our couch when you come to LA. And it was really effective, and they ended up getting a contract.
Wow. Yeah, God. Just, people think it's all fun and games. No, comedy is a serious game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Yeah, I had just a great hour and a half talk with Tom. I mean, he's just very full of wisdom and insight.
Yes.
Had great stories about Frank Sinatra and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, are you ever going to make a documentary, though, about it?
Probably not. I was, I gathered a lot of information and went out and pitched it, but I myself am not a documentary filmmaker, so I'm not going to do it. And, I have enough on my plate, I think, to go beyond when I'm dead. Mm-hmm. But if someone else were to do it, that would be awesome.
Yeah, ever since I've decided to pursue show business and I've gotten into the horror and sci-fi convention circuit and stuff, I've wanted to make documentaries about certain film studios and certain movies and stuff, and then I fucking find out someone already did, or they're about to come out with one. I'm like, God damn it!
See, that's where you and I are different. Because when I find out someone else did it, I'm like, oh, excellent! I don't have to do that now.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I feel great that they're doing it, but it's like it's always something that I want to do,
Yeah.
And then I run out of ideas and stuff, and I like a lot of things. I'm very eclectic in what I like, and I don't like just one thing. I like all sorts of different things. But then when I really get into something and I want to do something with it, somebody already else did. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll find something to do a documentary for someday.
Yeah, and there's always other angles too. I mean, they can't have covered the entire sci-fi field there in that one documentary, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or I mean, horror is more my thing of the two.
Yeah.
But everyone's doing.
Well, you won't get any competition from me on that one.
Yeah.
I find life horrifying enough. I don't need to watch any movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Life can be pretty horrifying, especially in today's world.
Mm.
So you're doing the Throckmorton next Tuesday.
Yeah, a week from tonight, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is today Tuesday? Yeah, it is. Yeah, a week away.
Yeah, I tried to go back in September, but I couldn't do it.
Might I see you next week?
No, I'm stuck here for a while and stuff. But in 2019, I'm going to try to make it back to the Bay.
Excellent.
Because I have all these projects and plans that I want to go through and stuff. Because my mom's getting sick of renting up here too and stuff. We want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to get to Los Angeles as well and stuff. I got all these different things I want to do next year, and I thought this was going to be my year. This was a pretty dark year for me, but I think next year is going to be my year.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've already had our big fire, so hopefully you'll come to new growth next year.
Yeah, this summer was pretty bad over here. We had some fires, and we were evacuated, and it was just scary. Especially the fact that I had to stay at my godparents' house was scary enough.
So was that a horror movie?
Pretty much. My godparents are very conservative, very proper. You can't swear in front of them, and I just did not have a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I was only there the weekend, so that was good. But, yeah, so I don't know anybody else on the lineup except for two girls that are in the Mermaid Show.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Tell me more about that Mermaid Show.
I don't know what that is, but I know two girls on the list. I know Christy Ono. Her and I started out together. Alexandria Love, she started a couple of years ago just as I was leaving. She's funny. She's kind of mean-spirited, but she's funny. But, yeah, I don't know the other comics on the list. I do know that week, too, Mort Saul is doing a show.
I think Mort Saul does a show just about every week, doesn't he?
I don't know every week. I do know he's been there a lot the last decade or so. I actually reached out to him for an interview, but I never heard back and stuff. But have you seen him there?
Well, I've seen the man. I've not seen his show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find Mort a little misogynistic for my taste.
Really? Is he? I haven't seen his comedy in quite a while. Is he more?
Yeah, no, he's kind of always had that. I think that's just him.
Mm-hmm.
That's so amazing to me. It's like, people think, oh, he's such this great political comic, and it's like, yeah, but with this giant blind spot. Like, to me, that's kind of a deal killer for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You think if he did it in a character form like Dice, he would be a little more appealing?
I think if somebody was doing it in a way that actually makes fun of that point of view, then yeah, I would enjoy that. It's not entirely clear to me that Dice Clay was doing that. And it's definitely not the case that Mort's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually think it's fine to, I don't think there's any topics you can't make jokes about or address in comedy.
Yeah.
In fact, the more, edgy, like, I tend to be really more interested in that. But I think the point of view that you have on it matters. Like, you can make rape jokes, but they should be anti-rape.
Yeah, of course. How do you think Kinison did misogyny jokes?
I don't know his material well enough to know that. Mm-hmm. But my kind of analysis just applies to everyone in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a comic, do you know Brian Holtzman.
Yes.
So Brian, he has a character that's just a horrible, who's a bigot and misogynist.
Yeah.
But, to me at least, it's pretty clear that he's making fun of all of that. And I really enjoy watching him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes the audience isn't so sure, and in some ways, like, the comics all really enjoy watching people walk out on Brian because they don't get it. But he's hilarious.
Oh, he is. In fact, a couple months ago, I interviewed Don Barris, and he called Brian up on the phone, on his other phone, and they got into a fight over the air, and I edited it out because it was so bad. Like, I was afraid if Holtzman got a hold of it, he would sue me.
He wasn't doing it just to be funny?
No, they were serious.
Huh?
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So you do the Throckmorton once a month, right?
No, not that often. This is actually the third time I'll be there this year.
Oh.
Usually I go about twice a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a once a month thing.
No, although I was there in, like, I think it was May and again in July, possibly. Yeah, so this year is a little more than usual.
Mm-hmm. You like doing it there?
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, the one time I went, I had a good time there and just hang out with the comics backstage. That was a lot of fun. Did I tell you that story?
No.
Yeah, the first time I went, my friend Paul Brumbaugh was booked to do it, and I go with him backstage, and I meet a couple guys. Al Cleathan, meet him. I meet Michael Pritchard, and I remember seeing Michael Pritchard on an evening at the Improv when I was a kid, and I told him that, and he's like, "Oh God, why'd you have to bring that up?"
Yeah.
And
it's funny how, like, people, often their early work, it's like it was such a big deal getting it at the time, and then later it's like, oh my God, that's recorded forever.
Yeah. And I met the Pine Sol lady, Diane Amos.
Yep.
Yeah, I told her, I said, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in the same room with you right now. And she said, why? It's not like I'm Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, Diane's great.
Yeah. And they all did a good show, too. Michael, though, he did like the same material he did on that evening at the Improv.
Wow.
Like 35 years ago.
Yeah. It still works?
Yeah. Still works. He's got that manic energy on stage like Steve Pearl and Robin Williams did.
I met Robin there and used to see him when I would come to the Rock. He hung out there a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of my biggest regrets was never meeting him, especially going there when he was there, because I didn't know about the Throckmorton until a few years ago.
Yeah.
And, when
I remember once doing a show, so it was with Andre the Wonder Woman, and I can't remember who the third comic was. It might have been Julie Goldman, but or maybe it was just me and Andre, I don't remember. But we didn't realize that we had booked our show for Super Bowl Sunday. Mm-hmm. And it was also, I think, Fleet Week or something with the big ships. And it was like the morning of the show, and we had sold 4 tickets only. What's going on? And then the question came, well, do you want to cancel the show? And of course, financially, it was, not a great thing, and have to hand it to Lucy for letting us make the decision. But we decided to go ahead with it because we thought, well, those 4 people, if we cancel on them, they're never going to come back. So we went ahead with the show, and I think we ended up with like 20 people there.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them was Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up being a pretty amazing evening.
So he went on stage?
He didn't go on stage. He came to watch us.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because if he went on stage, he's probably there 2 hours.
No.
Because he was known for doing that.
Yes. He was also known for, stealing other people's material. And so I remember, like, right before I went on to, Lucy said, oh, Robin Williams is here. And I was, like, kind of thinking, oh, why didn't you tell me that? So I was, like, half super excited that he was there, and then half like, uh-oh, is he going to steal my stuff?
Yeah.
But in the end, it was really just really nice to meet him. He was very supportive.
But do you think he did that intentionally, though?
What?
Steal material?
Maybe not. It's not even, because he was very improvisational.
Yeah.
So, sort of he would just fill his head with stuff and then it would just come out. I mean, there's an aspect where comics, lots of people think of hilarious things to say. Sometimes, even right in the moment. But most people will think for a minute before they say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time that you make that decision, you blew the timing. And the thing about a comic is they'll say it immediately, which works great if it's a good joke and gets you in trouble if it's not. And I'm talking about kind of off stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we don't have that pause that a lot of people have in deciding whether we should say something out loud. And Robin was a master of that, of
mm-hmm.
just having that impulse for what's next and just letting it flow out of him. And so I could see how, just in absorbing material, whether it was other comics or just people he's encountered in the world, would just come out.
Mm-hmm. It's funny too. I don't know what specific jokes he took from people and stuff, because when I hear him say anything, it sounds original coming from
mm-hmm.
him.
Yeah, he often did it better than the original person. But at least the rumors that I heard was that people would call his management and they would just say, okay, where do we send the check? So it was
and I hear, but certain comics who are known for stealing, whether it's Dennis Leary or Carlos Mencia, I mean, you know what jokes they stole from certain guys,
right.
But with Robin, it sounds original,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've had people steal my material, and what kills you is when they don't even do it as well as you do.
Yeah.
They ruin your bit.
Yeah, there was a guy who hosted an open mic up in the Bay Area, on the peninsula where I'm from. He and I got into it because I forgot to mention that he, on my Facebook status, that he was the host of this show that I was going to perform in. And he got all bent out of shape about it, and then I found out, I can't remember how long it was. It was a while, maybe about a year or something. He took one of my jokes and then said after he was done saying it, said, I do it better than Tommy Kovac. Yeah.
Is that his way of crediting you?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. He was an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Fortunately, I mean, there are people who do it, but I think it's pretty few people, given our profession, and I think most comics really get that it's really uncool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what happens a lot, though, is that people have very similar premises or bits.
Or or just parallel thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a joke I heard Billy Crystal do that I heard Jerry Seinfeld do.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Crystal said, his mother is 70, that's the law. And
mm-hmm.
Jerry Seinfeld said, my parents are retired, they moved to Florida, they're 70, and that's the law.
Yeah.
I don't know who did it first or anything, though. Although I have heard a couple of guys say that Seinfeld took a couple of their jokes after they came to him and said, I want to make this joke better, how can I do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And probably the answer was, let me do it.
Yeah. But he didn't say that. He just did it when they found out they saw him on the Tonight Show or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a crazy thing.
Well, the other thing that would happen, I know, is sometimes writers for shows would go to clubs, and they weren't necessarily comics themselves, but they would go to stand-up clubs and watch stuff, and then that material would end up on sitcoms or monologues.
Yeah, that happened to Rodney Dangerfield. He didn't want to go on the Tonight Show for the longest time in the 60s because he heard Johnny doing some of his jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And he told that to Jim McCauley. Jim McCauley told that to Johnny. And then Johnny found out that someone had stolen, Rodney's material on his writing staff.
Yeah.
And so it got all resolved. And then, Rodney ended up doing 70 appearances on the Tonight Show.
Wow. That's great to hear that it was resolved like that.
Yeah, because you don't get that a whole lot these days. everyone's like, taking credit for everything and stuff. But yeah, so next Tuesday, you will be at the Throckmorton.
Yes, I will. And I've got new stuff, which is always fun for me.
Great. Yeah, I hope you kill it
and
with that.
It's good there too because they have a lot of regulars who come, so you want to have new stuff for them.
Yeah, the night that I was there, allegedly Amy Poehler was there incognito.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and somebody that I had met backstage, one of the comics said that she came up to him and said, "Oh, you did a great set tonight" and stuff. I was like, "What the fuck? Amy Poehler was here? Oh my god, and I missed her."
Yeah.
It's like, what was she doing at the Throckmorton? Was she trying to steal material for something she's doing?
Wait, so was she in the audience or on stage?
She was in the audience.
Oh.
And she was incognito.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe she was watching a friend.
Maybe. I don't know. That was just, I can't believe that I missed her. Because I'm a huge Amy Poehler fan.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, I mean, she's the originator of the UCB.
Yeah. I think it's so cool how many awesome comics there are now.
Mm-hmm. I know, me and Tom talked about that. Just everybody, back in the day, you'd say, "I'm a comedian," and then, you'd be like, "Oh, wow, what's that like? Where do you perform?" And now it's like, everybody says they're a comedian now.
Yeah.
I
remember, like, way back in the day, it's like if you went on the Tonight Show, that was it. You were made. And even by the time I did it, which was in '98, it wasn't a career launcher anymore.
Yeah.
Because there were so many other shows out there, and so many venues. And also, I guess the difference was, like, back when a show like that could really make a comic, there were like 3 or 4 networks. So huge chunks of the country actually saw your work, which isn't really true now. But I think that's why, like, America's Got Talent that's like what the Tonight Show used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many more people watch it.
Yeah, when I started in '06, I wasn't aware of that it wasn't a launcher anymore to do the Tonight Show or those young comedian specials. And I remember I saw Adam Hunter on this Showtime comedy showcase called White Boys in the Hood, where all these white comics are performing in front of a black audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing him and just laughing my ass off, going, "This guy is going to be huge after this." And then 2 years later, I didn't see him again until 2 years later on Last Comic Standing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really disappointed he got eliminated so early. I guess they thought he was too edgy, and I was like, wow, how come he's still not a huge star? Because he's great.
Yeah. Well, it's there's good and bad to it. Like the bad part is that it's much harder for somebody to really break through.
Mm-hmm.
But the good part is because of all these like smaller niches and the willingness of different distributors to try to appeal to different niches, that there's such a more diversity of comedians, and it's more, you can have edgier comics. It doesn't have to be someone who's going to appeal to the vast majority of America anymore.
Yeah, the internet definitely killed stand-up.
Oh yeah, and cable. Started with cable, and the internet took over.
Cable made and broke comedians.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it first started with Make Me Laugh, and then HBO Showtime, there was only 10 channels back then, and then once cable expanded, and then the oversaturation of comedy showcases like An Evening at the Improv, Caroline's Comedy Hour, Comic Strip Live, then that was the beginning of comedy becoming less less intimate and more of like everybody's doing it. And then the internet came, and then that's when it really got fucked up.
Well, lots of things did. Like our elections.
our election. Oh my God, did you hear about Florida losing the votes?
Is this something brand new?
That's a couple weeks old. Like,
yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? What's up with Florida? Did they
Did
they have another hurricane?
No.
Yeah. So
I think Florida has an outsized decision-making role in our politics.
Yeah.
They should not have that level of influence they do.
Yeah. I'm not a political guy. So I don't really talk about politics anywhere and stuff, especially now, because every time you have an opinion, someone fires back at you.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah.
I
can't help it. It's one of my passions.
I'm one of the few guys that like doesn't post anything political on Facebook because I just don't want to get into a fight with anybody, and I don't want no one unfriending me because I have certain views or anything. So I like to post entertainment stuff, just to like give everyone a diversion from it.
Mm-hmm. I remember after the 2016 quote-unquote election, I posted that I have been unfriending like there's no tomorrow, because there isn't. And but actually, it's amazing. It's been 2 years, and there's just been a lot of fucked up shit, but there's also been a lot of amazingly good stuff happening. And like, I'm kind of amazed at how resilient we are as a species, and that it just seemed so bleak, and yet a lot of stuff is happening all at once, and a lot of it's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really anxious to see what the next few years is going to take us. I just hope.
I mean, I've always stepped in. I think there was you shouldn't talk about religion or politics, and I can't remember what the third thing was. Or and of course that's exactly where I go. All of that.
Marxism.
Which is why I'll probably never be on America's Got Talent. I mean, I would even take myself out of the running for that, because I'm like, I don't really think I'm what they're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, the 3 times I auditioned, I tried to do my best with it and stuff. And I mean, I had the producer laughing, and I had people in the room laughing, especially on the 3rd time. I really thought I had it that 3rd time.
Yeah.
But they didn't say, oh, everybody leave, but you stay here,
Mm-hmm.
But, oh well, I don't think I'm ever going to audition for anything like that again. It's just, it seems to me just everything's fixed and stuff.
Well, a lot of it is decided, like they do all these big auditions all over the place, in part to just get people interested in the show and committed to it. Mm-hmm. But in truth, they have like casting directors, and a lot of it is done not in that way. I mean, a lot of people get asked to do the show. Mm-hmm. That's true of all the reality shows, I think. Well, especially the ones, like Last Comic Standing or America's Got Talent.
Yeah, and another thing, too, they want someone with a really heart-wrenching backstory.
Right, exactly.
And I put mine on there, about my accident and everything, and I thought that would be great, but apparently it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, you gotta have the right heart-wrenching story.
Yeah.
And you can't be too bleak. So.
Yeah. Oh, I came from.
I'm not saying yours is, but.
I came from humble beginnings, and then I was rich, and then I was poor again. I can't think. I can't think of a heart-wrenching story more than what I've been through. Because I mean, I've been through some dark shit.
Yeah. Does that inform your comedy?
I mean, I've put stuff in my act about it, but it got to a point, the first few months that I was back from the accident, I just dropped a lot of the stuff because I felt like people were laughing because they felt sorry for me. Because, I had a leg brace, I had a couple canes I walked with and stuff, and I just didn't want people to think that, So I just dropped it, and every now and then I'll bring it back. Like I did a show a couple of months ago where I had people rolling, where I brought my cane with me, and I said, "Man, that's the last time I fucked Tanya Harding." That got a huge laugh.
Yeah.
But I just don't do it that much right now and stuff. I mean, I do have a one-man show idea that I want to go forward with. It's just if I can get somebody to produce it, is whether or not I can get it done. But we'll see. I mean, there's a couple theater companies over here in Reading that I was taking acting classes for and stuff, but they're kind of stuck up over here. And I said to them, do you think I could do a one-man show at one of the theaters here? And they were like, I don't know if your comedy would go over well here because it's politically incorrect, and this is a Christian conservative town and stuff. And I was like, you're right. So I got to go back to the Bay or Los Angeles to do it.
That's the thing is, like you don't consider what you do political, but almost everything is to someone.
Yeah.
Like, because politics is really just point of view, and it's just about power and who has it and who doesn't. So it's not necessarily just about politicians and that sort of thing.
My whole act is sex and pop culture. That's my act.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure they would fucking think that I was the Antichrist.
Yeah, I think we're all the Antichrist to someone.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. I just hope the free speech amendment doesn't get reversed.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise we're all fucked. I mean, oh my God. I mean, just people, comedians especially, just say anything and they get crucified for what they said.
You can always just declare yourself a corporation, and then you'll have all those rights.
Mm-hmm.
And with probably better protection than an individual would.
Yeah.
If I think like kids should become corporations, and then they would be protected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or they'd have some rights anyway.
Yeah. I know. I advocate all that stuff: children's rights, women's rights, all that stuff. But just
that's political.
It is political, yes.
Mm.
Go ahead, Betsy.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, good.
Oh, you were saying?
Oh no, I did. The last thing I heard was I just said that if you support children's rights and women's rights, you're being political.
Oh, yeah. No, I do support that stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't preach about it. Because people will get pissed off. The people who don't support it will get pissed off.
That's true, but in my view, they're probably not going to like me too much. Although I had a really interesting gig not that long ago in a pretty conservative district, like not hugely my people, and I knew that they were pretty kind of right-wing leaning, and so I didn't start out with political stuff as I normally would, and just started out with more personal stuff, and then about halfway through I started to talk a little bit more about political issues, and I could just feel the audience like kind of tense up and just be like, uh-oh. And I just looked at them and I said, it's too late. You already like me. And then they laughed and we just went on. And it was actually a really cool exchange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a pretty good exchange. Yeah, so you're going to get political next Tuesday?
Yeah, of course. I always do. But it's always a mix, It's always like, and I think what I really try to do now is just, connect with people because nobody's the same. Like nobody has the exact same politics as somebody else. And I think the more that we can just connect as people, then the more, we can talk about the things that really matter to us. And that's, or just the shit that makes us laugh. But So I certainly do a lot of stuff like that. I don't think the squirrel is political to most people.
Yeah, I've been working on this bit about Louis C.K. scandal.
Oh, good.
Yeah, just like I've been working on it for almost a year now, and every time, and just depending on what day it is and what I'm listening to on podcasts, on other comedians' podcasts about it and stuff, I'm just getting inspiration. Stuff like I wasn't too surprised when I found out about it because Louis made his own specials, his own movies, his own TV shows. Louis always been a self-starter.
Mm-hmm.
And
a masturbation joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just all this stuff that I'm trying to write and come up with a good cohesive bit there. And
I have a whole bit about Me Too, which is a lot of fun, and I think.
I have one of those too. I do one about Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. See, that's all political too. That's what I mean. Like, I think we think of politics as just talking about Democrats and Republicans, but it's not.
It is, but it's just to me, it's just the news in general,
Yeah.
It's just anything that's going on culturally in the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm not even that much of a bit guy, but I feel like when you're doing stuff about the news, you should make it bits, because I'm more of a one-liner kind of a guy.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing when I talk about what's going on in the news.
Yeah. I'm kind of a one-liner too, although I'm trying to expand to kind of longer bits or stringing together lots of those one-liners around a theme.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing I love about a one-liner is just the craft of it.
Yeah. When you're
very quotable.
Yeah, because when you're starting out doing comedy, you're doing just simply jokes, and that's how you begin doing it, and that's what I've done, and I found best that's the best stuff I do is the one-liners and stuff, and the bits I try to do as little as possible because it's just way too much work though. But I feel strongly about this Louis C.K. thing because I just think it's so absurd.
Well, I would like to see that, but are you on Twitter at all?
I'm on Twitter. I've actually been on Twitter a lot lately, more than Facebook, and I'm more of a Facebook guy.
It's been amazing for comedy, and I've discovered comics on there that I didn't even know about. And it's just especially people who are joke craft people, and one-liner people. It's a really great way to get stuff out there.
Mm-hmm. I've discovered a lot of comics on Twitter also. Some who've followed me and I didn't even know who they were. Do you know Erica Rhodes?
No, not yet.
Yeah,
now I do.
She's pretty funny. She followed me, and then Theo Vaughn followed me.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty funny. I watch his podcast. And
what's cool is I've been at this for quite a long time, but so many of the gigs I do now, I'm working with comics I've never seen before and loving them, and it's been so amazing just to discover so much new talent. Not necessarily new talent, but new to me.
Yeah. Well, you had the advantage of starting in Boston, which has a great scene.
Yeah, it was a good place to start in that, I think starting in New York or LA is really tough because you're competing with every, professional. Mm-hmm. And Boston was really good in that way. But it was a pretty rough scene,
yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah.
Very white and male at the time. Probably still is, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it now, but back in the day, yeah, you had the Ding Ho and places like that.
Right. So the Ding Ho had kind of stopped. I came along after the Ding Ho wasn't the Ding Ho anymore. Mm-hmm. That whole period took place a little before me. There's a movie about Barry Crimmins.
Yeah, I saw it. I love it.
It's an amazing film. And, that, I didn't even know a lot of that history about the Ding Ho. Mm-hmm. And I performed in that club many times after that. It became a Spanish restaurant and club called Cantares, and I was in an improv troupe called Guilty Children, and we used to perform there every weekend. Mm-hmm. I never even knew the history from before that.
Yeah, when I found out that Barry had passed away, I was just like, I couldn't believe it, because that guy, had such a fucked up childhood.
Yeah.
And he did so much for comedy, and a lot of people don't even know who he is, that it was profound.
Yeah, it was. And Barry did something really cool for me, and I didn't even know I didn't know what he had done afterwards in terms of helping to change the laws to protect kids, and I just did amazing and really difficult work. And I had done a performance in '89 in Boston that got me banned from virtually every club in town. And Barry, I had not met him before that, but he heard about it, and he reached out to me and, called me and offered to give me work, and it was just like an incredible gift, And that's when I first really, I'd heard of him. He was like a big figure in the Boston comedy scene, but he was really supportive of people who were doing work that he liked, or just people he liked. He definitely seemed to support comedians in general.
Yeah, and then the children's rights thing he did was great. I remember I heard him on a podcast. He was talking about this guy. There was this horror movie I used to watch when I was a kid called Clown House.
Yeah.
And the director of that movie molested one of the boys in the movie. And Barry was talking about how disgusted he was by the fact that Disney hired him to direct the movie back in the 90s. And there's this female podcaster who specializes in horror. She reached out to me, and we were Facebook friends for a while until she went crazy on me. And she told me she knew about that director too, and how and what he did and stuff. And she told me that Francis Coppola provided funding for that movie Clown House, and she tried to convince me that Coppola was a pedophile too, and we got into a huge debate over that. It's like, just because he funded the movie doesn't mean he's one too, Maybe he thought the director was talented, and that's why he funded it,
Well, I think one of the things that's come out of all the Me Too is just realizing, how much support there was for these predators, basically.
Yeah.
And it could come in the form of somebody who was doing the same thing, or or they just didn't care, or it just didn't matter to them if somebody did those things. So I hope going forward, it will matter to more people. So you can support or ignore someone's behavior. I mean, look at Woody Allen. Like, everybody's like, I think finally people are like, maybe we don't just ignore all that stuff about him. But for a long time, people who don't, aren't predators or don't consider themselves even supporting that did, right? They just ignored that part of someone. And that comes down, I think, to the, some people think you have to separate the artist from the art, right? So no matter what horrible thing someone did, if you like their art, that's fine. Yeah. And I think that there's other people who don't want to make that separation. And I kind of fall into that camp, because I feel like there's so much great art and there's so much great comedy out there that if I can eliminate a few people because I know they're predators, that's great. That just narrows down my list to become more manageable.
Right.
And it also opens it up to people whose voices not hear about because other people are getting so much airtime and stage time.
Ah, that is well put, Betsy. You made me go political here.
Yay! Victorious!
So, okay, next Tuesday you'll be at Throckmorton. What time does it start?
The show starts at 8.
The show starts at 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
It goes, I think, 2 hours, and they can get tickets on the website or probably at the door as well. I think it might be cheaper if you do it online. I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah, service fees and all that. But
I don't actually know too much about that, but I know that there's like more and less expensive tickets. So for my use, I think there's like fancy tickets, but there's no bad seat in there. Like it's a really nice theater with, and it's kind of it's big but also intimate at the same time, and it's a beautiful space.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
They got nice restaurants and stuff around there, so you can go make an evening of it.
Mm-hmm.
I usually go early and meet up with some friends.
Yeah. Like I said, next year, when I know where the hell I'm going to be, I will let you know if I can come down to Throckmorton and see you.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to that.
Me too, as well. And, whether I'm there or in Los Angeles, we will see each other.
Tommy, well, I appreciate you having me on your podcast.
Oh, yes. I love talking to you because you're so smart and you're so funny.
I try. I'm not smart and funny at the same time. They're kind of separate. But, it's like I try to do, like, smart, intelligent material, but then I also just do straight up goofy shit.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the stuff that makes me laugh the hardest is just slapstick.
Yeah. I'm a big slapstick guy too, and I try to give the audiences everything. I don't limit myself. Something I learned from Jay Leno, because he does diverse kinds of jokes, for everybody in the audience and stuff. But you have yourself a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, Tommy. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Well, there you have it. Betsy Salkind. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Betsy. I really do enjoy talking to you because you're funny and smart. And you got me political there, and I don't talk politics. But, yes, I absolutely adore you, and I will come see you when I'm in town in Frisco or LA next year. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.